Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. This is the third video of tonight. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is my top 10 NRL Hookers of 2020 video. Before I get into it though, I just want to say that if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. We are about 12 subscribers away from reaching 1,000, and if we can get to 1,000, that would be absolutely fantastic. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone who's taken the time out of their day or night to watch my videos. It is much appreciated. And thank you to everyone out there who, I guess, are new to the channel, and you won't be disappointed. So let's get into it. My top 10 NRL Hookers of the 2020 NRL season. I've got my list here. Better get into it now. My phone's about 10%. I don't want to charge it because fuck it. But anyway, we'll start off from number 10 and we'll go up all the way up to number 1. So we'll start off number 10. The 10th best hooker of the 2020 NRL season is the Dragons hooker, Ben Hunt. Now, Ben Hunt, for mine, probably is a better hooker than a halfback nowadays. You know, I think at halfback, he really crumbles under pressure. Can't really get the job done at halfback anymore. He used to be a good halfback back in his Brisbane days, and the first year he went to the Dragons, he was quite good, but ever since 2018, he hasn't really done anything at the Dragons. He's had a combination with Corey Norman and Gareth Woodop. He went all right with Gareth Woodop in the halves, but with Corey Norman, it's been an absolute joke. But when he moved to hooker, I thought he started to play quite good once again. He's starting to improve. I think he should play hooker long term. And when he played hooker this year, I thought he played fairly well. And, you know, obviously with Cameron McInnes moving more into a lock position, I think Ben Hunt had a pretty okay season. So Ben Hunt is number 10 on the list for top 10 hookers of 2020. Number 9 is a bloke who I think is pretty underrated, and he plays for the Cronulla Sharks. Number 9 is the Sharks hooker, Blake Brayley. Now, I reckon this bloke's extremely underrated. Doesn't do a whole lot of try scoring, or it doesn't set up a lot of tries. I think he only had 4 tries this year, maybe 6 try assists, which probably needs to be, he probably needs to improve more on his game as in terms of attack. But defensively, he was outstanding. He made a lot of tackles this year, Blake Brayley. I reckon he's extremely underrated. Definitely isn't anywhere near the top 5 or anything like that. But he's a fairly solid hooker, and I think he'll improve as the years go on. He's still young; he'll develop more, and I think the Sharks is definitely a good club for him. And I think he'll get better as the years go on. So I thought he had a pretty solid season. So he is number 9 on the list. Number 8 is from the Cowboys, Reece Robson. You know, we signed him from the Dragons, and he pretty much kicked Jake Granville out of that hooker position. And ever since Reece Robson's gone hooker, I thought he's been outstanding for the Cowboys. Probably one of our better players this year. The Cowboys were poor this year, as we all know, and I thought he was probably one of our shining lights. I thought he played well. He defends very strong in the middle. He attacks quite well. Defends very strong as well, and not sure if he'll be an 80-minute hooker going forward, but I think he probably could become an 80-minute hooker, and I think he'll get better as the years go on. He's still young, and I think he's probably the Cowboys' long-term hooker, in my opinion. And I look forward to seeing the progress and the future of Reece Robson, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes again next year. And I thought he had a pretty solid 2020, to be honest. So he is number 8 on the list. Number 7. From the Canberra Raiders, Tom Starling. Now, I'm not going to put Josh Hodgson on this list because he only played 9 games this year and he got injured. So I don't want to rate Josh Hodgson on the list for this year. So Hodgson won't be on the list. But Tom Starling, number 7 from the Canberra Raiders. He took over Josh Hodgson due to Josh Hodgson doing his ACL. But my God, Tom Starling, he had a fantastic season for the Raiders. I thought he played well. He ran from dummy half a lot. I thought he was very explosive from dummy half. He reminded me of a really young James Seguiaro. If you go back to James Seguiaro, back when he first came through the NRL, he was a really quick dummy half. And I think you could say Tom Starling was a bit similar to Damien Cook. Just a very explosive runner from dummy half and loves to run the ball a lot. And I thought Tom Starling played very well for the Raiders this year. He had some big shoes to fill. Obviously, no Josh Hodgson for the Canberra side. And I thought Tom Starling handled himself very well. I thought he had a really good season for the Raiders, and, you know, overall, you know, the combination between him and Jack Whiten and George Williams was fantastic, and it's going to be interesting to see what role Tom Starling does play next year with the return of Josh Hodgson. But for 2020, Tom Starling was great for the Raiders, and I thought he played very well, and hopefully he can get more time on hooker next year, but we'll see what happens. But he is number 7 on the list. Number 6 is a bloke who was in contention for the Queensland hooker position, but didn't quite make the cut. I think he will be a Queensland hooker in the near future, but as of right now, definitely not. Number 6 from the Parramatta Eels is Reid Marnie. Now, this bloke started the year very well, as the whole Parramatta Eels side. They started the year very well, but Reid Marnie, I thought he had a pretty solid season. I don't know if he's an 80-minute hooker as well. I'm not really too sure if he can play 80 minutes. Reid Marnie, he does struggle towards the last 20 minutes of games. Seems to go all right for the first 60 or so, and then seems to get burned out by the last 15, 20 minutes or so. But as for Reid Marnie's 2020 NRL season, I thought he played well. Probably needs to do more in attack. He defends well and makes heaps of tackles, but I think Reid Marnie needs to do more in attack. Probably needs to score more tries and set up more tries. But I thought he had a very solid season. I think that's probably the one thing that's lacking in his game is probably his attack. That's probably why he didn't play Origin. And, you know, I thought he had a very good season, Reid Marnie, but I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes again next year. But as for 2020, he is the 6th best hooker of 2020. Now, here we go. The top 5. Now, this is a very hard list to put together, the top 5. I think this is probably a fair spot for mine. But number 5, from the Sydney Roosters, Jake Friend, the 5th best hooker of the 2020 NRL season. Now, unlike his 2019 season, Jake Friend was actually on the field a fair bit this year. He didn't have a whole lot of injuries, and I thought he played very well this year, Jake Friend. I think he's one of those players that always has a bit of a whinge to the referee, tries to be an imposter of Cameron Smith, but he's not quite on that level. But I thought Jake Friend had a really good season. He obviously playing in a great side in the Roosters. You know, he's playing with the likes of Takiyaho and Maria Hargraves and the likes of Radley and Crichton and Cordner and Tupanui and all these sort of players. But, you know, Jake Friend's playing in a side where he's got a lot of quality players. And, you know, I reckon Jake Friend had a really good season. I think he deserves to be recognised in the top 5. And I think he does make the top 5 cut. So, a good season from Jake Friend. I'm glad he has gotten over some of those injuries he has suffered in the past. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes in the near future. I thought he played okay in State of Origin. Didn't play great in Origin, but I thought he played okay. But as for his season at the Roosters and 2020 itself, I thought he played very well. So he's number 5 on the list. Number 4 is a bloke that's going to be playing for Queensland for the next 10 years and probably the future of the Melbourne Storm at dummy half with Cameron Smith undecided still on what he's doing. Number 4, the 4th best hooker of 2020 is Harry Grant. Played the whole season at the West Tigers, and let me just say this. I knew Harry Grant was a good player, but my God, I didn't know he was this good. Harry Grant, for mine, he is the future. He is the future, Harry Grant, and I think he'll be the best hooker in the game in the years to come. But what a season he had. He was absolutely outstanding this year at the West Tigers. Now, the Tigers finished 11th. They didn't make the 8, but if there was a shining light to the West Tigers season, it was definitely Harry Grant. He had a brilliant season. Definitely a top 5 hooker in the game at the moment. He's only young as well, you know. The fact that it was only his first full season in the NRL, it's scary. He's a rookie as well, so it's scary on how good Harry Grant will get. So a great season from Harry Grant, and I think he'll get better when he goes to Melbourne, back to Melbourne next year. So great year for Harry Grant. He'll be missed at the West Tigers, and he in my opinion, he was the 4th best hooker of the year. Now let's get into the top 3. Number 3 is a bloke that is very consistent. Started the year fairly slow, probably below his standards, but finished the year off very well. Number 3 is the South Sydney Rabbitohs hooker, Damien Cook. What a season he had. I mean, he started slow. He wasn't running the ball as much at the start of the season, but when he found that confidence and he found that gear, and when he adjusted to all the new rules with the 6 again and all that caper. But Damien Cook, he ended up playing really well. He started slow, but once he got going, once he learned the new rules, I thought he was outstanding. Damien Cook, definitely a top 3 hooker in the NRL. I think he definitely deserves to be number 3. Definitely top 5, but what a season Damien Cook had. I thought he was outstanding. The back end of the season, I thought he was terrific. I thought he had a pretty good year overall. And in State of Origin, thought he played very solid as well. But he's a great player, Damien Cook. He combines well on that left side with Cody Walker and Cameron Murray. He brings them into the game very well. And he combines well with all of his players, Damien Cook. And, you know, another great year from Damien Cook. And he is number 3 on the list. Number 2 is the boy of the season. This bloke was absolutely electric this year. This bloke was dynamite. I know. Number 2 is the Panthers hooker, Api Koroisau. Now, a bit like Harry Grant, I knew Api Koroisau was a good player, but my God, this year, he was great. He was the reason why the Panthers went so well. He was behind their success. Without Api Koroisau, there's no way in the world the Panthers win 17, 18 games in a row, whatever it was. Api Koroisau was terrific. Didn't have many bad games. I thought he was absolutely unbelievable. Even in the grand final, he was fantastic, even though they were beaten. I thought he was fantastic, Api Koroisau. The combination between Api Koroisau and the halves of Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary, they complement each other very well. And I've got to say as well, Api Koroisau combined a pretty good combination in the middle with Isaiah Yeo as well. And Api Koroisau is a great player. He runs the ball well. He kicks from dummy half fairly well. He used to play in the halves back a long time ago. He used to play a bit of 5'8", Koroisau. But ever since he's moved to hooker a while ago, he's just been dynamite. So Api Koroisau for mine, the second best hooker of the 2020 NRL season. And number 1, you all know who it is. The best player that I've ever seen. He is the GOAT. Some people hate the bloke. Some people love the bloke. I reckon he's the best player of all time. The best hooker of 2020. The best hooker of all time. Number 1 is Cameron Smith from the Melbourne Storm. I thought he had an unbelievable season once again. Won another premiership with the Melbourne Storm. Won his 3rd grand final. Some people say 5, but they cheated back in 07 and 09. He's won 3 grand finals, Cameron Smith. 2012, 2017, 2020. I don't need to go over his resume because you already know Cameron Smith's resume. I'll be here all night if I go on about his resume. But Cameron Smith, another fantastic season. You already know why he's the best hooker in the game. He does everything right. Attacks well, defends well, combines well with all of his teammates, and he's probably the best player that I've ever seen, and he's the best player in the NRL at the moment. So, you know, just the way he plays, and, you know, he's just the GOAT, Cameron Smith, and another fantastic season from Cameron Smith. I don't know if he'll retire or if he'll play on, but I reckon he should play on for another 2 years because he's not slowing down. I reckon he could go another 2 years easily. He hasn't had many injuries. He had 1 injury this year, but that was about it, and he was only out for 2 weeks anyway. So Cameron Smith, the best hooker of 2020, obvious reasons. We all know why, and I think he deserves to be number 1, and he is number 1 for a reason. He's just the best. But anyway, guys, that's my top 10 NRL hookers of 2020. Let me know in the comment section below what your top 10 NRL hookers are of 2020. Very hard list to put together. You could probably switch up, probably 2nd and 4th if you wanted to. You could switch Koroisau, Grant, and Cook any order you wanted to if you wanted to. But I look forward to hearing everyone's comments in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, guys, I'm getting out of here. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. And I'm getting out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe and take care of yourselves.